Federica TOSCANO, who's head of programme at Missing Children Europe, for comment on this. Federica, thank you very much for being with us. I'd be interested in getting your reaction to what you're hearing about this, because this has taken a while to emerge, but clearly many people now are very shocked at what they're hearing.
Yes, I would say it was to be expected because of the large number of children that are coming undocumented to the US. And it's a very good sign that the US is able to give us a number, that they have looked into the issue and they have tried to figure out how many of these children are actually missing, unaccounted for, as you say, and as they say. And it is a big number. It is a big issue. And what it is more appalling, in my opinion, is the reaction that this has triggered. The departments say that they don't have any responsibility over these children anymore, and so they just have no role to play at this stage, which is definitely not the case, not according to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, that explicitly say that government states have the responsibility to undertake any measure to make sure that children have access to protection and their rights are respected.
Because the security, the safety of all of these children, no matter what age they are, that's all at risk, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. The fact that children are outside the protection system of a country means that they are out there without access to schooling, without access to food, shelter. We are not sure where they are. Many of them may have been falling victim to trafficking. We know in Europe, for example, that the fact of being migrant and unaccompanied are two characteristics that attract traffickers. So we know that trafficking organizations are targeting unaccompanied migrant children. And I expect this to be the case also in the US, because these are the most vulnerable, are the ones outside the protection. In most of the cases, the countries are not looking for them. And we've heard this from the department. They are not looking for them. They're not going to use resources to try to trace them and try to understand what happened to them, because they don't think it's their responsibility, which means they are alone outside the protection system and anything could happen.
It is a nightmare scenario that you're painting. It's a nightmare scenario that is happening right now. And as you pointed out, Federica, the fact that the Immigration Service is kind of washing its hands of it, saying, you know, we're not responsible for these children, again, shows a real dereliction of duty. Can I ask you about the other issue that this story brings up, which is when families get to the border and they're trying to cross illegally. They'll be separated from their children, which is what the US authorities are saying, and this is happening right now. Your thoughts on that? Again, it seems like an incredibly inhuman thing to do.
Yes, it seems they are using this measure to dissuade families to come to the US, which is really inhuman if you think about it. Desperate families, the families that are trying to have better opportunity in another country, why to separate them from their children? Why to separate the children from their parents? And why not to put in place systems for these children to be with their family throughout the processes that probably will bring them to a more stable status in the country where they arrive? We see this in Europe as well. We try to use inhuman decisions and procedures and processes to dissuade migrants to come in. But these are clearly not working. In the end, what they do is to put more pressure on the children themselves. And in many cases, children decide to leave care, to reunite with their families, because this is not possible or too difficult or too long to be done legally. And this also exposes them to a lot of risks. This means that the policies decided by the country, the states, the politicians are actually putting children at risk.
Federica TOSCANO of Missing Children Europe, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your analysis of that story in the US there.